Hi, I'm Jill Bernard from Huge Theater in the United States, and I would like to know more about improv that is not in the United States. So I'm making a video series of interviews in which I talk to one person in another country to at least get one point of view on how improv started in their home country. Today we're asking Fenio Ortalli, who now lives in Spain, how improv started in Argentina.
The story of how improvisation got to Argentina through Buenos Aires uh, is, I think, like most of the stories, somebody came with the idea. Somebody said, "Hey, I got an idea," and that person was a French improviser called Claude Bazin, that in 1988 came to Buenos Aires and offered a class of match de improvisation, which was the root of most of Latin American improvisation, was the French Canadian format of competition. So the story says, the official story says that he was the first person teaching improvisation in Argentina. I would dare to say in Latin America. And he created this group of students, and it was like 200 people taking classes. Buenos Aires was at that time, and always it is, but at that time was very counter-cultural movements in the late 80s, 10 years of democracy, and people just going crazy with anything culture related. So I think he found a lot of interested people in this discipline. After that first course, they did the first official show 1 year later, which was, of course, an improv match with the students from that course, and it was also in a very paradigmatic place, which was this nightclub called Palladium, uh, which was one of the reference of the nightlife of the late 80s in Buenos Aires. So that's the seed. Yeah, it was mainly actors from this underground wave of theater in Buenos Aires. Like I told you, it was very uh, yes, underground proposals of just experimental theater in the basements of downtown Buenos Aires. So it was a lot of people that were already performing and doing these performances in these hidden places in Buenos Aires that got. But I think there were other people that their first encounter with theater was this, and that's one of the beauties of beginners class. You have people that already have experience in theater, people that are accountants, and it's amazing. And probably the accountant will leave their job and become at a certain point. But the main two figures for that first experience were what we would identify as the two main names of improvisation in Argentina, which are Fabio Sancineto, Mosquito, and Ricardo Pérez. Actually, they were both of them when this French person just left. They took the the direction of the match, and it was very, according to what they say, was very interesting because they decided to share their direction. And I will show you a picture of both of them, and you would know how you can tell me how it went. So these here are the two people that were in charge of directing the same show. This one
Okay.
here, Ricardo Berens. This one here, Fabio Mosquito Sancineto. So yes, they were very different. While Ricardo wanted to keep the structure and the rules and the format just as the French Canadian match, originally was, very strict and very serious. Fabio Mosquito Sancineto wanted to party, basically. Well, he usually, this is Fabio Mosquito, and this is Ricardo, so you would see the differences. The still the artistic and stylish difference. So it was clearly two shows in one. So of course, at a certain point, they split and they build their own communities. While Mosquito was a very show business, very lights and sound and party, Ricardo was very structured and serious and this idea. So these were the first two movements that we had in Buenos Aires. And from these two schools, then the rest of us were born. And it's very interesting that we were born from such different parents.
How did you come in?
Well, the serious one.
The serious one.
Yes, I took my first improv class with Ricardo Berens, and I liked it because it was very, I could say a lot of bad things about Ricardo, but I can say that he was a good teacher, and he was very strict with the rules. And I liked at the beginning, or I used to like more when I was younger, that directions are straight and straight. So when they do this in your hand, you learn. So I learned very quickly how to be respectful from the offers of my partners, how to listen, how to take it seriously. I'm not saying that the Mosquito school wasn't like that, but it was more, but the prejudice was that we were the serious one and they were like, look at me, look at me, look at me. The truth is that we didn't know each other. It's like we lived in two different worlds, and part of the strictness in Ricardo's way of work is that we shouldn't mix with these people. What if they convince us that it was fun to party? So until I left the LPI, which was the league, I didn't have any connection with other improvisers, and it's the same on the other side. So until 2006, 2007, probably, we didn't mix, we didn't mingle, we didn't know what was. We had international festivals, but we didn't know what a person in the other neighborhood was doing. Freudianly speaking, we killed our parents. Freudian, yeah. This is not, I'm not assuming, this is not a confession. I didn't kill anyone. We basically found out that, hey, there's people that we've been taught to hate each other and we don't know them. So we started like getting together. It's also connected with the Facebook moment in 2006. We all started to like each other things, and hey, now I think I know you, and blah blah blah. So we started to talk at least. And for instance, in 2007, we organized the first local festival that wasn't sponsored by the LPI, the Ricardo group. Which those festivals were always international. So we had the Argentinian team, Colombia, Chile, all the usual suspects invited, but no one from the same community. So in 2007, we decided that had to change. We needed a festival to get to know each other. So I started talking with Valeria Stillman and Soledad Cardini from Entre Paréntesis, same group with Lucas Solazo and Gonzalo Rodolico, and they come from a different branch, which was, let's go back to the first the first crossroad, which was from Mosquito Sancineto's group. We have to thank Mosquito for Sucesos Argentinos, which is basically Omar Galván, Oski Guzmán, Marcelo Savignone, Romina Coccio, Silvina Sodano, wonderful improvisers. And there was this magic that happened. These people at the same time doing this amazing thing, they created this very beautiful project. And from that, students of them was Gonzalo Rodolico, Vale, and Lucas. So from these two different sons of almost grandchildren of these two father figures, we connected. And from that moment, everything exploded. It's like the stage in which we get rid of these chains is the moment which improv communities tend to blossom, because we share knowledge and experiences all the time. So the times are shorter. You learn much more in very little time. And that was the beginning for me. Is the spring of improvisation in Buenos Aires is after this event. I think the first not match show was by Sucesos Argentinos. I think it was in 99, 97, 98, something like that. They started with the next thing after match, which is title and genre, or a particular game. So that alone was already revolutionary. It was before that. Imagine 10 years of the only thing related to improv was match. We didn't even have theater sports as maybe something else. No, we didn't know it existed. So after these 10 years, they started with something very basic, which was let's ask for title, ask for genre, and play. And very specific genres started to appear, very local, and you started to see the kind of improvisers they were, that they needed to expand their horizons. So that, I think, if there's nothing else, Sucesos Argentinos was the first non-match format ever played. I think it's connected to how connected we are with theater in general. Like Buenos Aires is one of the capitals of theater in the world. I always say it's New York, London, and Buenos Aires, because you go out every night and you have 20, 30, 45, 50 theaters. You can go on a Monday night. If you go on a Friday, Saturday night, you have 200 places to go. And from big theaters to very independent, almost illegal theaters. And I think also the way we understand theater as a way of expression and connected to our political background, especially in Buenos Aires, we are very political and social, and everything has to be connected with our reality. Makes it our improvisation very theatrical, if that's an adjective. So it was, though we are very connected with sports, and match seemed like a very great connection of sports and theater, it was also clear that at a certain point we will get rid of the spectacular part and connect with the narrative and dramatic part of improvisation. And I think that's the main characteristic of Latin American improv in general. Yeah, and I think it's if we would have another influence, let's say Keith Johnston, instead of this French improviser arrived Argentina in 88, it would have been the same. I don't think that match had a special influence in how we play. Or at least when I started, I said, this is ideal for the general audience in Argentina that doesn't go to the theaters. The original hypothesis by Gravel and Leduc, speaking about how can we get more people in the theaters, let's combine it with ice hockey. In Argentina, it would have made total sense to combine it with football, and people would have lost it. People would have, I think we would have had like a very professional league, like the Canadian, like the French, because we are crazy about anything that's connected with a ball. But we didn't, and I think because at the beginning theater and football and sports in general doesn't go well, especially in Argentina. You don't go to play with other actors football. So I think that's why they didn't take it to the football inspired model. It's complicated because I think we passed the high tide a few years ago, and now due to a very strong political economical crisis, as usual, in the last 4 years, most of the projects that were looking really good got to a dead end. But I would always recommend whatever Gonzalo Rodolico does, it has a quality mark because he's a great professional, he's a great artist, a great director, and a great teacher. So you should definitely look for Gonzalo. And sadly, okay, it's been 5 years since I moved to Madrid, but I don't think that's the reason why I cannot think about something that is happening right now in Buenos Aires. And sadly, I think I would say the same for Latin America in general. We passed our best moment. Maybe we have an upcoming better moment, and I hope. But during the 2010 and between 2010 and 2014, I think there was this peak of very interesting shows and concepts and ideas and investment in improv in general by the communities, by the private theaters, by the governments. And right now, I think we are in like this flat line. I hope we come back to life soon. But it's hard. It's hard. Everybody that lives in a third world country would know how hard it is to succeed. And by success, I mean living,
Yeah.
surviving, doing something connected to the arts. Uh, yes, and at a certain point, it was also very, when Argentina is very capital centric. It's like everything happens in Buenos Aires. Like you don't have other places where people would look. But at a certain point, we had this moment of spreading improvisation all over the country, and in Mendoza there was this huge project with a sort of match slash theater sport slash whatever they wanted. That was a very commercial success. Everybody was talking about it in this province, in this city, and they had every Sunday night 300 people cheering in every show for 2 or 3 years, and they did a great job. There's also a huge success in Córdoba, especially from Los Pelafustanes, a group that managed to put themselves in the spotlight in the summer tours, which are very important in Argentina. But it's hard to stay. Basically, it's hard to be there over and over and over, producing and failing, producing and failing and failing and failing and failing and failing and failing. And not because of you, because of the circumstances. If Buenos Aires was the beginning of everything, then when we started spreading this virus, sorry for the, the connection, it was a better virus. Then each country did the same work but faster. They didn't have to go through these 10 years of doing just math. By the second year, they were fed up and they found new things. And those new things that they found were very connected with their own local identities. And you will find that when you talk to other improvisers in Latin America, that I think you can talk about a Latin America style, but then it's very important to find your own local way of understanding. That's why I don't like the copy paste communities. It's like we are replicating something that is not ours. And I think until you discover that, hey, this is an art form, a very transparent art form. You cannot hide behind the author, the genre, or the director. It's you, and everything goes through you. I don't think you can't hide it.